We're going live.
No, we'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, and yes, I was edging the algorithm a little bit. These days, it's a little bit challenging for me because I've got to get up on the weeks that I have my son, and I got to run him up to school, run back down here, and try to kick off this live stream all by 8 a.m. my time, so 10 a.m. Eastern time, and it doesn't always work out that good. Sometimes there's traffic, sometimes other things come up, and it's difficult because my daughter, she's off at college now, and for the last couple of years, she's got her driver's license and stuff, and so she would drive my son to school, and it was awesome. I was living my best life. Now she's off at college, so I'm like, oh crap, I gotta take this boy to school. So, like a peasant, I got to drive my son up to the high school and then run back here. And so, anyway, edging the algorithm a little bit. Oh man, hopefully this episode is better than Friday's episode last week, man. Like Friday's episode was, you guys probably didn't notice, right? And sometimes I think us creators are our own worst critics, but man, Friday's episode was just an epic crap show for me. I went back and listened to it on the audio version, and you might not notice it on the YouTube version. If you're watching on YouTube, it probably didn't seem like that big of a deal. But if you listen to it on audio, there's just so much dead air because I'm scrambling trying to show you guys the things that I had all planned out, but my computer like rebooted the night before. And so I was like, at live, what are you going to do? You just got to make it work. Right. So I'm just trying to make things work in the moment. It was a huge pain. And so you can really hear that in the audio version. And I'm just like, oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. And then on top of that, since I got back from England last week, man, I just felt like hot garbage. Right. Like, Nurse Chick and I are sort of joking about it. She's fine, but Nurse Chick and I are joking about it. Like I came back with the British Rona, right? It's like Rona with crumpets, except for it's not. I took a home test. It wasn't Rona at all, but it's some kind of like head cold, and then went down to my chest. It just felt like crap, right? And if you go back and watch Rule Zero Saturday and watch the Dragon Ship Saturday, you can tell it wasn't quite into it. You can, like, if I'm sitting like this in a podcast, right, it's because I want to stretch my legs out and I'm just done. Anyway, so that was you go back and watch the Dragon Ship, I was like just barely hanging on there. Before we get too far into this, guys, be sure to, here we go, like, subscribe, hit those notifications. If you guys are watching live right now, please don't be strangers. Sound off in the comments. All right, your guys' interaction with these helps these go by much smoother. And then what I've been trying to do lately is spread out some of this housekeeping stuff, right? Yeah, there we go. A little more center there. That way AI can cut this better. Anyways, sound off in the comments. I've been trying to spread out the housekeeping a little bit more. I have an upcoming guest on one of Monday's episodes that's going to be coming up. His name is Colt. After the recording, he's like, hey, can I give you some constructive criticism? And I was like, sure, man. He's like, dude, the housekeeping takes like 20 effing minutes. Can you spread that out? So trying to do that for you guys. All right, so let's talk about frame today, guys. Iron rule of Tomasi number 1, you guys should be familiar with it by now, is frame is everything. Always be aware of the subconscious balance of whose frame in which you are operating. Always control the frame, but resist giving the impression that you are. Now, we hear that a lot, don't we? We hear that a lot in this space. He lost frame. I lost my frame. He's in her frame, right? What the hell does that even mean? I've done episodes on this, but it's been a while. So I figured, why not talk about it today, right? Now, everything that I'm going to talk about today, you could go really in depth in when you read this masterpiece. Okay. You read this masterpiece by a guy you may have heard of. He's, pretty big deal in the space. Some might call him a heavyweight in the space. All right. His name is Ryan Stone. He's the world's best red pill coach. Okay. And please do tag him on Twitter and tell him that I said that he's the world's best red pill coach. Okay. He loves hearing it. He loves hearing it. So Rian, in his book there on frame, he describes frame as a tetrahedron. And I'm almost positive he got that concept from this old married red pill subreddit piece by a guy going by the name of Strategos Autocrator. I don't know where people come up with some of these names, like what does that even mean? I don't know, probably some video game reference or something. I don't know. Anyways, and just in saying that Rian got it from this post, it's not crapping on Rian at all, right? Like none of the stuff that we talk about in this space is original. None of it. Like we all learn from others. I've learned a crap ton from Rian. If you go back, if you read Rational Mail, I read Rational Mail again for the second time, like a couple weeks ago. Like Rollo quotes all sorts of people, like not everything's original in the space. You know what I mean? Anyways, Rian, especially, I like plugging his book because I love that effing Canuck. You know what I mean? He's a good dude. All right, guys, be sure to follow me on social media too. The links are in the description for that. And then please support the show by sending super chats, guys. So far, I haven't opened my big sailor mouth within the first 8 minutes, so I think we're safe. But just in case, send a super chat. You can send one for as little as $1. All right, so let me paste a link to this article in the chat, guys. And let's see what the chat's going up. Hey, James says, "What's up, Paul?" Hey, what's up, James? Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I like this attitude this morning, Phil. Phil says, "Hoorah!" Normally, he's just like, okay. Good morning. Good morning, Phil. All right, so here's the article. I'm going to paste the link to it here in the live chat. If you guys are ever watching this, or I'm sorry, listening to this on like your audio platform, you're listening to the replay, and I say I'm posting this link in the live chat. Come on over to YouTube, maybe later in the day, and actually look in the live. Sometimes I think you have to wait 24 hours, but you look in the live, you can see the link. It's also down in the description as well. I'm trying to multitask, take my vitamins at the same time. So Rian, in his book, describes frame as a tetrahedron. And in this post on the old married subreddit, the article's called The Elements of Frame 0 Introduction, right? And so he goes through a bunch of stuff here, and Strategos says that frame is a tetrahedron. So let me see here, make sure. Yeah, so if you like, think of it like a tripod instead, right? You're like, what's a tetrahedron, right? Think of it as a tripod, okay? Tripod, same thing. 3 points where the points touch the ground are the intellectual, the emotional, and the physical basis of frame. Each must be strongly grounded for the frame to be balanced, strong, and stable. If one isn't good, the frame collapses to that side, and then he defines the rest as such. So let me make sure that, let's see here. Yeah, here we go. I got notes here. I just want to make sure I'm following my notes. So if you guys saw the thumbnail, here we go. Let's bring it like this. This is what was on the thumbnail. I found a tetrahedron, on Google Images, and I added these for visual reference, right? But you got at the bottom there, you have intellectual, emotional, physical. Those form the bottom, and then the top point is your vision. Got it? Got it. Yes, liking the video is in fact alpha, guys, if you didn't know. So give it a like. Okay, so this is the thumbnail. You guys, this is what a tetrahedron is, basically a pyramid, right? Pyramid, think of it like a tripod. Okay, guys got that? Sweet. We'll stop sharing. Okay. Now, let's see, what do we got here? We got the thumbnail, post a link in the chat, bring up the image. Oh, now we've got to do this. Guys, oh, you did that already. Guys, get on the email list. list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you some free stickers. You also get a PDF with 20 dating app openers that are guaranteed to capture a woman's attention in the first 7 words. All right. Now, the first one here, we're going to talk about the intellectual pillar. That's what Ryan refers to these as pillars, right? So each one is a pillar. So we're going to talk about the intellectual one first, right? So he says here, it is having the knowledge, the know-how, and the logical means to get what you want. An example of this is simply the logical understanding of the women's cycle, being aware of it, and understanding how that affects your sex life. There are a lot of other examples, and I will discuss them in a future post, but they all make sense in the logical part of your brain. And then he talks about how the subreddit, the guides, the books in the sidebar, they're simply resources to help you make this basis strong. Nothing more, nothing less. So basically, learning game, right? Having a good understanding of what women actually respond to is a part of the intellectual pillar of understanding of understanding yourself, right? Understanding yourself, understanding the worldview around you, knowing that's where like sort of amused mastery comes from, right? You've ever heard of amused mastery? It's like the idea that you've seen it all before, so you're sort of like not fazed by it, right? Like if a chick, has a meltdown in front of you, you don't have to react to it emotionally, which we'll get to the emotional pillar here in a minute. You don't have to react to it emotionally anymore because it's expected, right? You now have an intellectual, rational idea of what to do instead of just reacting on instinct. You know what I mean? So that understanding that stuff is a part of your frame, is having that intellectual knowledge of that sort of thing, right? Understanding that. So reading these books, listening to these podcasts, that all helps you with the intellectual pillar. And then the next one is emotional. And I think this one's probably the hardest one for most people, not just, a lot of guys, like, we like to think that we're these like rational beings and that we're always thinking before we're acting. And that's such nonsense. You can see it in the comments on social media, on these videos. Most guys, most people in general, not just women, I mean, just react out of emotion, pure emotion. They see something, they get triggered by it, they have to respond, and they don't even realize that they're doing it out of emotion as opposed to like really thinking about it, right? So the emotional one, I think, is probably the hardest one for guys to get a grasp on, right? Because they don't even realize they're doing it. It's like instinct almost, But the emotional pillar, it's understanding your emotions such that you can use them to get what you want. Notice how the logical one was also logical means to get what you want, right? There's a theme here. So the emotional one is understanding your emotions to get what you want, right? An example of a strong emotional basis is not acting butthurt during a shit test. Having a strong emotional basis means that you understand and accept your emotions and know how to properly display them to get what you want. Your own inner work to really understand and accept your emotion is the source of having a strong basis. Emotions are the way women understand their relationship to you. They don't see you, they only see how you make them feel. This is a very powerful component in your marriage. That's what he put in your marriage. But also just in relationships in general, right? Understanding that it's all about how you make her feel in the moment, because feelings are fleeting, right? They change, they come and go. So you always have to be conscious of how you're making her feel in that moment. All right. And you can do everything right. You could do everything right. And then as soon as she doesn't feel right in that moment, everything that you did in the past doesn't matter anymore. Women sort of have this, what have you done for me lately attitude? And that's a lot because they're driven more by their emotions, right? So if you have this understanding, that's more of the intellectual basis, having that logical understanding of that. But then you also can take a step back and realize that you also can control your emotions, right? And I put out a tweet yesterday controlling your emotions is not the same as suppressing your emotions, right? And because a lot of people get that confused. And whenever I make TikToks about mastering and controlling your emotions, man, people are like, oh, you shouldn't control them. You should let it flow freely. And because that's how guys are like offing themselves. Like, no, guys are offing themselves because they're being controlled by their emotions. It's quite the opposite, right? They haven't mastered their emotions. They're letting their emotions get the best of them. And then they're acting on it. You know what I mean? Think about it for a minute. All right. And they're like, oh, you're telling guys not to talk about their feelings. No. I will never say that, right? There's a time and a place. Okay. Doing it like crying in front of your girl is not the place, and you have control over that. You can control when and where you express your emotions, right? You don't have to do it right there. You know what I mean? You could say, hey, you know what? I gotta go to the supermarket real quick. I'll be right back. And then go cry in your car or something, right? You could join the beer club, which we'll talk about later, but you can join the beer club, right? It's a good group of dudes. I wouldn't recommend necessarily crying to the group, but you can actually bring your troubles to the group and talk through it there, and we'll come up with solutions there, right? No one's done that yet, though. Everyone's just having a good time in the beer club. Everyone's just having they're sharing funny memes or whatever. It's great. But it's an outlet for that, right? And we meet up once a month, and you could talk to the boys about that stuff. The boys is a great outlet for that sort of thing. Your girl is not, you know what I mean? But you have control over that. And someone asked me on social media this morning, I think it was Star. She's like, how do we begin to learn to master our emotions? I was like, well, the key thing is awareness. Being aware of how you're feeling, and then instead of just acting on it, just take a step back for a minute and think about it. Like, why am I feeling this way? Right? Because once you become aware, it's almost like a third party looking at your inner thoughts. It's almost like God mode at that point. And then you can analyze, like, why am I feeling that way? Where's this coming from? And then once you have that awareness and you're trying to figure out where that's coming from, you can also actively not just react on instinct. Just be like, I shouldn't send this email. I shouldn't send this email, right? So it's an important thing. A lot of people just don't have that. You know what I mean? They do just purely act on emotion. They don't even think about it. Hey, community channel. Hello from the UK. Hey, I was just there like last week. What's going on? This is like late in the afternoon for you. It's like 4 p.m. or 3 or 4 p.m. there. All right, where are we at here? So we talked about intellectual basis, emotional basis, beer club. I already mentioned a little bit, but join the beer club, guys. It's only $10 a month. It's a good outlet for your emotions. And the next meetup is next week on Thursday, on the 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Speaking of the UK, we do have a member in the UK. And he's like, when's the meetup? It's like, well, it's like midnight. It's like midnight UK time. So one of these days, if we start getting more members from other countries, from Europe and stuff like that, we'll have to have a separate European beer club meetup. So we'll have to work that out. Right now, we only have one guy from the UK in there right now, so it doesn't make sense to do that. But if we start getting more people from the UK, and it will have to do that, right? Go have some points. Go have some points with you cunts. All right, it's past the 8-minute mark. I can say that. All right, guys, join the beer club. Okay, so then the next pillar then is the physical pillar, right? Now, this is having the physical tools to get what you want. All right. The quintessential example is lifting heavy weights. There's a lot said already about lifting, but this guy's definition goes beyond this. Other areas of the basis include posture, voice, grooming, diet, and your own sexuality, all which affect the way your wife or girlfriend sees you. This area is underscored for beginners because the easiest one to improve in a systematic way. It is hard to measure how you're improving on your emotional or intellectual basis, but it is very easy to know you are lifting more, right? Or if your posture is better. You can just see it in the mirror. So if you don't know what to do, instead of crossing your arms, feeling helpless, work on this area. This is a big deal, right? This is like one of the number one key things that guys have absolute control over, and they just don't do it, right? And I don't like just saying, "Oh, lift heavy," which is this is kind of what Ryan says in this book too, right? Like you got to lift weights. I say do any kind of physical activity, right? That will keep you active and healthy and not be a fat bastard, okay? But find something that you enjoy doing because not a lot of people like lifting heavy. You know what I mean? If you prefer calisthenics, do calisthenics, right? All you really need are push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and running or squats. Those are the only 4 exercises you actually really need. I will die on that hill, right? And I do recommend, at least if you're just all doing cardio all the time, like maybe you like mountain biking or something like that. If you're just doing cardio, you'll end up being skinny fat, which isn't that aesthetically pleasing. So at least add calisthenics in there, right? At least add push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and some squats maybe. Okay. Because you don't want to be skinny fat. You want to have a little bit of tone and definition. You know what I mean? But just lifting heavy is not everybody's bag, you know? It's just not. But you guys absolutely have 100% control over it. All these guys worry about, oh, you have to have 6-pack abs. You got to be 6 feet tall. You got to make 6 figures. Okay. The 6-pack abs is nonsense. You don't have to have 6-pack abs. You just have to be better looking than the next guy. Okay. But you can't control your height. You might have a little bit of control over your income. It just depends on your skill level and your business savvy, maybe. But you do have control over the 6-pack abs part, which is really your physical fitness, right? You have 100% control over that. If you are fat and out of shape and you're complaining that, oh, only Giga Chads are getting poon on dating apps and stuff like that, it's like, no, that's not true. It's not only Giga Chads, but if you think about it, if you're just not a fat piece of shit, you're already in the top 25% of dudes, right? So go to the gym. You have 100% control over that. Stop complaining, right? It's sad, right? So that's like the physical pillar is probably the easiest one to work on. Ryan goes more in depth in the book on that. He talks about grooming. He talks about like what clothes to wear. That son of a bitch says not to wear graphic tees. Can you believe that guy? Can you believe that guy? Says not to wear graphic tees. F you, Ryan. Actually, if you keep reading Ryan's book though, right? Because this is part of Frame, right? He goes through the book and basically is like, if all this stuff, other stuff is working for you, like disregard what he's saying. It doesn't matter what he thinks, right? Because that's Ryan's frame, right? Wear t-shirts. That's my frame. I'm not gonna change my t-shirts for Ryan. I'm not gonna enter his frame because he's a Canuck. Okay, that's why we don't do that. Anyway, no, I'm just joking. But seriously, you got to look at it from your point of view, right? This is all about you. Frame is all about you. Okay. All right, where are we at? Where are we at here on the list here? This is probably going to be a short episode. We talked about the physical basis. Yeah. Speaking of physical basis, I've got a guy that I'm coaching right now. Coaching is available at gumroad.comeonmanpod.com. One of the things that he wants to start doing is he wants to drop a little more than 10 pounds, right? Not that much, easy to do. And we had a client call last night. And so we came up with a plan for that. So he's got a diet plan, right? Very simple, easy to follow one. He's using a calorie counting app. And last night he sent a screenshot to me of what the daily calorie goals are. I set calendar reminders every 3 days to reach out to him, being like, hey, what's your calorie count for the day? Right? Just to hold him accountable. Every Friday, we're going to do a weigh-in. So I got a calendar reminder every Friday to say, hey, what did you weigh in today? Right? So we can track that progress. I'm helping him with that. I'm not like a physical, trainer. I'm not a dietitian, but I've lost weight. I've done it before. I've lost, I was heavy, man. I think at my heaviest, I was like 230 pounds. I'm only 5'9". 230 pounds. If you look it up on the BMI, like I was a fat bastard. I've showed before pictures online, right? Like I was really unhealthy. This was, it probably contributed to the end of my marriage. But after I got divorced, maybe a year and a half or so after that was finalized, I decided to take my life back. Actually, let's see, it was almost a 1 year after I took my life, because it was more of like a New Year's resolution. I was just like tired of looking myself in the mirror, going, "God, you're a fat bastard, dude. Like, what are you? You can't be like this, right?" I decided to start taking my life back, and the way I did it was I counted calories. I used a couple of apps. I counted calories, and I started exercising more. I started running more. I started doing more, calisthenics and stuff like that. Ended up losing like 50 pounds. So I know how to lose weight, so I can help with that, right? And so that's what we're doing. That's our goal now. And we're going to try to. I think he's at I think he's 14 pounds over his goal weight. So we're going to get him back down to that. So helping him with that kind of stuff's available at gumroad.comeonmanpod.com. I have 2 tiers available for that. And then also you might notice occasionally I post on social media videos where people just DM me questions, and I'll say, well, hey, I'm happy to answer that in a video if you want to sponsor it. People are more than happy to do it. So you can find that at gumroad.comeonmanpod.com. If you just have a question you want me to answer, you can do that there too. That's available. So we talked about the three pillars here. Let me share this one more time here. We have, it's tetrahedron, right? It's a pyramid. So we talked about the base here, the bottom 3, intellectual, physical, and emotional. That's your base. That all goes up to your vision, because you notice how every one of these was the intellectual fortitude, the emotional ability, and like the physical ability to get what you want out of life. That's where your vision comes in, right? That's where your vision comes in. So my man in the article, where are we at here? This tab here. My man in the article says that now you have to work on all 3 areas in your self-improvement, right? Depending on your specific needs, you might need even more work in one area than the other. But if you ignore one, your frame will weaken and will topple, right? You got to have the strong legs on the tripod, or the tripod's going to fall over, right? You're going to lose frame. You're going to lose frame, right? Oh, I lost my frame. Yeah, you got to work on these areas, right? Let's see here. This subreddit can only help you with the intellectual basis. Yeah, so this podcast can only help you with the intellectual basis. The rest of the work you must do on your own, not here. This is why this is a path for yourself, by yourself. You won't have frame only from reading here. Even if you hire me as a coach, right? Even if you hire someone else as a coach, you still have to do the work. The coach isn't going to do it for you, right? It's still a journey of self-discovery on your own. Like, you have to do it. No one else could do it for you. You have to do it, right? We can sort of like lead you in the right direction, but even hiring a coach is more about, it's more about the intellectual, right? Telling you the steps, right? The shortcuts, like what I've figured out along the way, right? So the intellectual part, and then the emotional part of holding you accountable. Because if you know, like, I'm going to be pinging you saying, hey, what's your calorie intake for the day? You're going to be more aware of it, and you're going to have that anxiety of letting me down if you, right? If you, eat too many donuts that day. You're gonna be like, oh crap, I'm gonna get an earful, and you're not gonna want to do it. That's an emotional fear of being held accountable, and so you're going to stay on track, right? That's still that's still on you, though. That's still on you. All right. So the vision, it is the strength to see everything in your world and your interactions with it clearly. From this, you can see clearly what is it that you want in your life. You have the clarity to work hard on what you control, and you plot a path to obtain your goals regardless of what you don't control. this is huge, right? A lot of guys worry about stuff they can't control, right? Hair loss, for example. I'm looking like a hippie now. I gotta shave again here, but hair loss, you can't control that. What can you control? What you do about it, right? I decided to shave my head, right? Control the controllable, right? Can't control how tall you are, right? Oh, I'm not 6 feet tall. I might as well just give up. No, 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 no. Right? You can control how fit you are. So get jacked, right? Now, if you're losing your hair and you're shorter than 6 feet tall, the answer is still to get jacked. Okay, like you have control over that. You know what I mean? The world's not ending. The world's not ending. Okay, control the controllable, and don't worry about what you can't control. Okay, that once you realize like that's powerful. That's powerful when you're like, that's out of my hands. I have no control over that. And then you let it go. Stop worrying about that kind of stuff. Dude, that helps with your emotional pillar, right? Because you don't have all that anxiety worrying about stuff you can't do anything about. All right. From your vision, you can be economical with your resources and you don't get dragged into crap that doesn't add to your vision. And if someone tries to fuck with you, you can clearly see how it doesn't add value and you just ignore the shit and move on, right? Concepts that are part of this vision are outcome independence, leadership, and clear goals of self-improvement. Outcome independence, right? I talk about that a lot, right? Letting go of attachment to outcome. Attachment to outcome. I was explaining this to one of my other clients the other night. Man, like this whole week is like booked up with client calls. And I was telling him because he was getting ready to go to some kind of competition, and I was trying to tell him like because he was like, if I win this competition, and I was like, no, when you win this competition, like imagine that you've already won it. And he's like, but what if I don't? And I was like, well, then you don't, right? But I was like, but you got to go into it with the mentality of like, I've already done this. I've already won. And then when it doesn't happen, like instead of being completely deflated, you really need to have the outcome independence of, well, I'll get them next time. Right. It's so hard to, it's very counterintuitive. It's very counterintuitive. Same thing with dating. You can intentionally date. Let's say you want a girlfriend, you want a steady girlfriend. I think most guys do, but go into every date, not expecting this girl to be the one, right? Not expecting every girl to be a good candidate. Just go in there. I'm going to go out and have fun tonight and see what happens. Right. You can still date intentionally, test for interest, test for a woman's ability to follow your lead. And if they don't have interest, great. If they do, great. If they will follow your lead, awesome. If they don't, perfect. It told you everything you needed to know, right? Like it just have that attitude, like, okay, whatever. I'm going to keep spinning plates until I find a girl that checks all these boxes. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about is boxes, go back and watch my stream on why it's important to have a list when you're dating, right? A list of wants and don't wants and qualities of a woman. So that way you're not trying to fit each girl into your boxes. You're testing to see if they already fit in these boxes, right? You know what I mean? Like you're not forcing something to happen. Okay. That's how you date intentionally and then let go of attachment to outcome. Because you just are like, well, this chicken ain't it. Okay, cool. Told me everything I needed to know, right? That's how you still do that intentionally without having outcome independence, right? The leadership and clear goals of self-improvement. Leadership's important, right? Like we got to learn how to set the tone and lead in our relationships and lead all areas of our life. Man, a great book on leadership is what is it? Extreme Ownership. Extreme Ownership is one. These are both by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, but Extreme Ownership and the Dichotomy of Leadership. And I think it's in the Dichotomy of Leadership that they talk about leading up and down the chain of command, right? So if you're at work, being able to lead the interaction with your with your bosses and stuff like that is kind of a superpower. You know what I mean? And it's not hard to do that, right? You still are doing your duties and doing what you're assigned to do, but you're also taking accountability and a leadership role in helping with some of those decisions. You know what I mean? And it once you learn those types of skills, like the leadership skills, it helps in all areas of your life, right? Not just in your work life, learning leadership, not just your work life, but it will absolutely help you in your love life too. Because women do want a man that sets the tone and takes the lead in a relationship. Most guys don't do that. Most guys defer to their girl's leadership and put her on a pedestal. They want to make her happy. And that is just a recipe for disaster, right? He says here, when you have a strong vision of what you want in your relationship, you become an oak, and that makes your wife trust you and look for safety and strength in you. Your vision also allows you to self-reflect on the basis and helps you tweak things to always make it stronger. So this is important too. I talk about this. I have a stream on being lovingly detached, what it means to be lovingly detached. This vision and having a good frame, right? So all the other three pillars, your intellectual, emotional, and physical basis, being able to master those allows you to lovingly detach from the relationship. And that means like you still love your girl, right? But you don't get so lost in your emotions in that the romantic ideal of the relationship that you can take a step back and analyze things, keep an eye on her attraction level, and so you can adjust accordingly, right? It allows you to be a better leader in the relationship, right? Because one of the things that talks about the emotional relationship is realizing that your girl, your relationship to her is all about how you make her feel in the moment. So being able to step back and lovingly detach enough to watch how she is reacting to you it allows you to make better judgments on how to move forward in the relationship, which will keep things going long term, right? Most guys aren't doing this, right? They're just they want to relax in the relationship and sit back, and then they get complacent, fat, lazy. They stop dating their girl, and then they wonder why they're getting a divorce, right? They wonder why she's cheating on them and stuff. It's like because the work never stops. The work never stops. The work never stops. All right. So you really, what it comes down to with all of this, right? Especially the visual basis, though, is you got to figure out what do you want. What do you want? Part of like the relationship thing, going back to what I was saying about the list, making your list of wants and don't wants in a relationship. A lot of guys don't do that either, right? They just take whatever they can get. They take whatever they can get. And when you master this stuff, if you realize, you have 100% control over what you'll tolerate and what you'll keep in your life, right? We do not keep girls that don't add value to our lives. There's girls out there that will absolutely add value to your life. You just need to be a little bit more of a picky person and you really need to have the attitude going into dating of what's in it for me. Okay. And that actually will make for a more healthy relationship, right? Having that enlightened self-interest. It's like the analogy is used in the space a lot of when you're flying on an airplane. You're flying on an airplane, and the stewardess says you got to put your oxygen mask on first before you help other people. The same thing goes in all areas of your life. You have to look at it. What's in it for me first? Because if you don't do what's best for you, you can't possibly help anybody else. You know what I mean? If you can't put the oxygen mask on and you pass out, you can't possibly help someone else put an oxygen mask on, right? Same thing goes in all this stuff. You have to look into it, look at it like, what's in it for me? And then move from there and then make good decisions from there, right? You got to look at everything that comes at you. Like, does this align with your goals, interests, values, or belief? If the answer is yes, cool. If the answer is no, who gives a shit? Right? Who gives a shit? It doesn't affect you. All right. Ryan in his book quotes a guy called the ultimate cad, right? Anything outside your frame is amusing, intriguing, or funny, right? It's a good way to look at it. Okay. A lot of people think about this, right? Let's see. Do I have it on here? Let's see here. Yep, I do have it on here. So we'll get to that here, right? So Ryan says it very well, right? Ryan says it very well in here. He says, frame isn't something you have, frame is who you are, right? Or frame isn't something you do, frame isn't something you have, frame is who you are. So let me ask you guys. Who the fuck are you? Who are you? Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought about what your values are? Have you ever thought about what do you really want out of life? All right. Now, I like to look at frame as your worldview, right? So I think all these things sort of go into this, right? But I always like to look at frame as like, this is your worldview, right? This could embody everything that we talked about, but sometimes people like might disagree with your worldview, right? Maybe you're a Christian, right? And a Muslim might disagree with your worldview on Christianity. Okay. Now, if they say, "Oh, that this part in the Bible is not accurate," and you truly believe it is, like, how do you react to that? Do you react like mad, like, "No, you're wrong," and stuff, right? Or do you just say, "Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting that you think that," right? Maybe you're a MGTOW guy. So I get this a lot. This is pretty easy. It's so easy to trigger MGTOW guys. It's so because they have no fucking frame, which is part of the reason why they're still MGTOW, right? But maybe you're a MGTOW guy and someone like me comes along and challenges it, says you're a fucking quitter. You're a fucking quitter, right? Now, how you react decides whose frame you're operating in, okay? If I say you're a fucking quitter and you just sort of chuckle and don't care what I say and go about your life, well, you're still operating in your frame. Now, if you start laying into me and yelling at me about being on the plantation, you're now operating in my frame. You see what I'm saying? I was able to get to you and trigger you by saying that. You're now operating in my frame. You see what I'm saying? Same thing goes for stupid political arguments online. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one, especially we're going into politics season here. If I were to say Trump is great, or if I were to say Biden is great, right? One of those will trigger somebody, right? The first time I said Trump is great, someone immediately in the comments was about to fucking lay into me right there, right? Oh, he's a fucking criminal, right? He should have been impeached. Or when I said Biden's great, people would be like, "Oh, that fucking Biden, he's incompetent. He's incompetent. He could barely make a speech," right? Now, how you react to that really determines whose frame you're operating in, right? So if I say that and you just find it amusing, intriguing, or funny, well, then you're operating in your frame. You don't care what I say. It doesn't affect your worldview. It doesn't impact how you're going to vote, right? You're still going to vote however you're going to vote. You don't care. It's just Paul's opinion. Who cares, right? Then you're operating in your frame. That's where you want to be. That's really where you want to be. Okay. Now, if you get mad and you want to lay into me for being a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter or whatever, well, now you're operating in my frame. Now you're operating in my frame. Okay. So think about it like that. That's a good way of thinking about it. And you got to deal with this too. Like when women will test you, right? This is a part of like what shit testing's about. If she like playfully teases you and you fucking lose your shit at her, well, now you're operating in her frame. And that's highly unattractive to women. They want to operate in your frame. They don't want you to operate in their frame, and they're going to test you. Right? So learning ways to handle shit tests is a part of your intellectual frame, and being able to master your emotions, not react to her shit tests emotionally, but logically because you've seen it before, right? is how you're going to pass those shit tests and have her stop shit testing you. Because the more you pass shit tests, the less they'll test you, the more they'll relax and they're feminine. But they got to know that you're the strong masculine man that they think that you are. This is like hardwired into them, right? This is a part of their evolutionary DNA. They want to make sure that like you're the right sexual match for them. Okay. And so they'll test you, and how you react to that determines whose frame you're operating in. Okay. All right, guys, short episode today. Pretty clear, pretty easy to follow, right? The tetrahedron of frame. It's think of it like a pyramid, right? You've got to work on all areas of those of that, right? Your intellectual, emotional, physical, and that all leads up to your vision. If anything is weak in those areas, you are going to crumble. You're going to crumble under pressure. And I think the hardest ones for most guys is the emotional and the intellectual, especially like blue pill guys, because they just don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. You don't know about shit tests. You just think women are being bitches, right? Oh, these modern women, they're all acting like that. No, they all do it, right? They all do it. They've always done it. They've done it throughout time. We just aren't teaching guys how to be masculine anymore, how to handle that stuff anymore, right? It's like a revival. Like we're trying to teach guys this again. It's like reinventing the wheel. But once guys get it, like you see it in some of the men's groups I'm in, right? The 3% brotherhood, you see the guys who get it, and you see how they move through their relationships, and it's like, it's a beautiful thing to watch. You also see guys who they think they've got it right. They've got the intellectual stuff down, but they haven't mastered the emotional stuff, or they might be jacked or whatever, but they haven't mastered the emotional stuff. That's why I say the emotional pillar is probably the hardest thing for guys to understand, right? Because that's where you fall back on your old programming the most, right? And that's where guys tend to fail the most. It's so important to work on that one. It's, you got to work on all of them, but that one is probably the hardest one for guys to get. It really is. It really is. And it's a constant struggle, because we are emotional beings, all of us, right? We're all emotional beings, whether we like it or not. But once you realize that and you understand, you could take a step back and look at it from hindsight. That's why like understanding like stoicism and stuff is so important, because it really teaches you to keep a handle on that. That's why I'm a big law of attraction guy, because that really teaches you to be aware of your thoughts and stuff too, right? That's why I have my course on it. Speaking of which, I'd never played a commercial for my course. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll wrap up here. Are you struggling to find a good quality woman? They are very rare indeed these days. If you spend any time at all watching content in the men's podcast space, or you spend time on dating apps or going out to clubs, you're seeing low-quality, promiscuous women. You're finding women with daddy issues and personality disorders, or a myriad of other red flags, and you are frustrated. I get it, brother, but what if I were to tell you that the reason why you're only seeing these types of women is because of your mindset, because of your paradigm? We get what we focus on in life, and you have trained your mind to focus on the type of women that you don't want. So those are the types of women that keep showing up for you again and again. Let's change that mindset today. If you're a guy looking to attract high-quality, submissive women into your life, then I've got the perfect solution for you. And let me tell you, brother, it's all about mindset. That's right, you've got to reprogram your thinking to focus on the type of women you do want. That's where my Practical Law of Attraction course comes in. It's packed with proven psychology-based techniques that will help you manifest your dream woman. Trust me, you won't find this stuff anywhere else. Explained in such a simple, easy-to-use way. And let me tell you, when you start using these methods, you'll be amazed at how quickly things start changing for you. Picture this, you're out on the town, feeling confident and magnetic. All the women are drawn to you like moth to a flame. And best of all, you're attracting the type of women that are submissive and high quality. It's not that they weren't there before, it's that you weren't aware of them before. My course will teach you how to be more hyper aware of the kind of women that you actually want. It will teach you to believe that you're the most attractive man around. And when you believe it, you'll carry yourself that way. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for my course today. Visit loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. Start living the life you've always dreamed of. Don't miss out on this opportunity to up your game and find the woman of your dreams. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So what are you waiting for? Act now. Act now, guys. All right, that's pretty much all I have on frame. It's a pretty simple concept. If you guys really want to go in depth on this, definitely check out my boy's book. He's almost done with his third book on Dread Game. I'm really looking forward to that. It should be out by Christmas time. Tune in Friday, guys. We'll be talking about Danny Masterson, Russell Brand in the Me Too movement. I see a lot of guys already pointing at those cases as why we shouldn't even talk to women anymore. Can't trust women. Can't go out dating anymore. It's like, wow. I don't think you guys are going to like my take on it. I don't think you, especially you guys that really just want to use that as an excuse to not talk to women, you're not going to like my take on Russell Brand and the Danny Masterson situation. So tune into that Friday, guys, if you want to have your emotional and intellectual pillars challenged. All right, guys, if you guys haven't done so already, man, you guys are really quiet in the comments today. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. For you guys that did sound off in the live chat today, thank you. If you guys are watching the replay, drop a comment below. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Guys, it's not too late to send a super chat. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you some free stickers, and you guys will get a PDF with 20 dating app openers that are guaranteed to capture a woman's attention in the first 7 words. Check out the Practical Law of Attraction course. The links are in the description for that. Get on the beer club. The next meetup is next week on Thursday. And then coaching's available at gumroad.comeonmanpod.com. Thank you, everybody. We will see you guys on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.